Hi, I'm Tyler Rosser. Today I'm going to tell you 3 things that you need to know if you're going to get into buying farm or ranch land. First thing is going to be utilities. Does a property have utilities on it already? Whenever someone's buying a home in town or in a subdivision, it already has electricity, it has septic, and it has water to it. If you're buying land in the country and you want to build a home on it, you have to think how you're going to get all those things onto that property. That can be $10,000, $20,000, or even sometimes, depending on where the property is, $100,000 to get those 3 utilities to property. So if you're going out with a realtor to look at a property and say, hey, this is where I want to build my dream home in a couple years, make sure you visit with them and the local utility providers to see how much it might cost to get your electricity, water, and septic on the property. You need to make sure that you know what the deed restrictions are on that property. Things such as fence setback lines, how many animals you can have on the property, where you can build that home, what you can build your home out of, and how big it needs to be are all things that need to be considered. Sometimes there are deed restrictions on minimum home size or what it can be fabricated out of. So if your goal is to build a barn dominium or a metal home, make sure that that's allowed in the deed restrictions before you buy that property. The last thing we ever want is someone to buy their dream piece of property with that beautiful water frontage and not be able to build their dream home on it. So always make sure you work with your realtor, your lender, and your title company to know exactly what those deed restrictions are before you enter into a purchase for raw land. Another thing to consider is make sure you know the rules and regulations in place with drilling a well or inserting a septic system. Rules vary from county to county. Say you live in one county and want to purchase in the next. I would make sure you work with local government to know where you can put a septic, if you can put a septic system, and also the regulations on drilling wells. Price per acre can vary significantly depending on the features of the property and where it is located. If a property has a river frontage on it, you can expect it to be quite high. If a property has fences already built, you might expect a little bit of a premium for that. If you're just buying raw land that's just pasture or say row crop, then you can expect that price maybe be a little lower. In our area, price per acre can vary significantly based on one side of the highway or the other. If you go west of 35 here in Georgetown, Texas, you can expect prices to be a little bit higher because there's more elevation changes. The soil's a little rockier and it's really nice to build a house on. When you go east of 35, the property gets much flatter. There's a lot more row crops, an area for cattle to graze. Due to this, we typically see prices a little lower than on the west side of 35. If a property seems priced too low, there could be a reason for that. There could be access issues. There could be leaking wells on the property. There could be things that are negative to the property that you need to consider. And that's why appraisals are important. A certified appraiser typically will visually inspect the property as well as review the title work to make sure the value for that property is appropriate. They typically also will compare sales in the area to make sure the sales are in line with what this property is selling for. It's important to work with your realtor, local farm credit lender, and title company to make sure the property has clean title, good access, and no irregularities that could affect its value in the future.
Contact us today and see how you can become a customer owner. Visit www.agtrustaca.com.